Hey guys, it's Friday. Does Friday actually mean anything? But it does. Today it means that we're heading into Burgers and Bands weekend and we are not giving up. We're not doing our event, but we are going to be doing big things for Burgers and Bands this weekend because we want you to support Severna Park Tap House this weekend. And if you can't, we want you to eat burgers anyway. So if you're somewhere else, anywhere in the entire world, and you love Burgers and Bands and you love what we're doing, have a burger, take a picture, post it with a message, the hashtag you are not alone, and tag Burgers and Bands for suicide prevention, because we want to show people that you're not alone, that we're still here, even while all of this is going on, even while we can't have our big party and our big event, and we can't have our bands. Have a burger, support Severna Park Tap House because they have supported us where they are. Just so you know, we spend hardly anything on that event because we have places like Severna Park Tap House and the Byzantium who support us. So please do go and support us there. Also, if you want to make a donation, burgersandbands.org will take it. We love donations. I got one new subscriber yesterday, folks. I need more. Please give me more subscribers over at YouTube /Brennan and Annie. We really need more subscribers over there. We're at 461. I just want to hit 500. After that, I'll want to hit higher, but let's start at 500. And today we're here. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, and we are on Twitter. So you can watch us in any of those places. And I have applied for a second time to LinkedIn. So hopefully we'll be going live on LinkedIn soon because we want to help small businesses be seen out there. This is episode 29 today. That's pretty cool. And we have Vince DeCrisci from Chimneytek. Hey.
Hey, good morning. I want to thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
It's fun, isn't it? It's just like this nice little thing. It looks like we're on, CNN in my living room.
Right. Social distancing. We're probably about 50 miles away, right?
Exactly. So, all right. So tell us a little bit about Chimneytek.
Sure. Chimneytek started 25 years ago. We just celebrated our 25th anniversary back October 28th. It seems like yesterday, but we specialize in chimney inspections for real estate transactions, and we're a full-service chimney and fireplace restoration company. We serve the community with we are the permanent solution with premium products. That's our tagline. We don't band-aid anything. So we've got a great company, and it was a growing company, and until COVID-19 hit, but we're moving forward.
Well, with all your experience, I think you'll come back from this, right? I think it's having the experience
Absolutely.
to know you can go through stuff, right? Uh-oh, we froze again. There you go.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you'll come back from this. So I want to talk about something that people say, because Vince, you love to travel. And
I do.
yeah, and so people are like, gosh, he's always traveling. This is so, and they look at that sort of like it's an overnight success that you just decided you were going to travel and this is what you're doing. But it didn't happen that way. Tell us a little bit about where you started and how you've gotten here.
Sure. Well, I'll start first off with my daughter Victoria coined it that I'm a simple man. I like to go out to dinner and I like to travel, and that is true. Well, we didn't start the traveling part till probably about 4 years ago. For whatever the reason, small kids and business, but it's definitely not an overnight success. We started, as I said, 25 years ago as one man, one truck operation. And I was bivocational for a lot of years, working at Delta Airlines as operations manager and running the chimney business on the side so my wife could stay home with the children. And we did that for a lot of years till about 2011. And I got laid off from my full-time job, and I felt sorry for myself for about 24 hours. And I was like, you know what? We've been talking about making go of this thing for a long time. My wife said, yeah, let's do it. And here we are 9 years later. We are a 5-truck operation in Maryland and 1 truck in Delaware. So it's a daily grind. I remember when I was working for a Yellow Book, Yellow Pages, when people actually read the Yellow Book, one of the managers I interviewed with said, hey, this is a daily grind. really didn't understand it at that time, but business is a daily grind. Sales is a daily grind, and you got to keep moving forward. So that's
Yeah.
kind of the story in a nutshell. I mean, there's a lot more details to it, and but
Yeah.
it
Well,
takes a lot.
when people ask me, I talk about being an entrepreneur and I talk about that moment at 6 o'clock at night where I'm banging my head into my desk and going, why am I doing this? Right. You're the one I call, right? Because first of all, you've got a lot of the answers because you've been there, you've done that. But also it's just nice to have somebody who gets it, that gets that it's not all, fun and games. It's a lot of work. It's a whole lot of work. So it's nice
It
to
is.
have you for that.
Right, I appreciate that. People don't understand. One thing I said to a friend of mine is sometimes being a business owner is a very lonely place. So you got to surround yourself with like-minded people, other business owners that you can bounce stuff off. And I consider you a friend. I consider you a mentor. Even though I've been in business longer than you, doesn't mean I can't learn from you, and vice versa. But yeah, it's people don't understand. Somebody had the quote is out there that being an entrepreneur is the only place where you work 80 hours, so you don't have to work 40 hours for somebody else.
Right, right, exactly. Yeah, Anastasia says it all the time to me. She reminds me all the time that I work harder. She's like, you work harder than anybody else in our company. And I think that's mostly true. Anastasia may be, she's sort of an entrepreneur as well, and she's part owner, and at least in her heart. So,
Right.
and in my heart. So we were going to talk about adversity, and you talked about, we've talked to you before about cancer. That's a scary word.
Yeah, it is a scary word, but when this happened, I was 39 years old, and it's not something a 39-year-old person, man, woman, expect to hear. You've got stage 3 colon cancer, and this was on a Friday when I was diagnosed, and my wife and I struggled the whole weekend. What do we? Well, it's just a word. I'm not trying to minimize it, but it is just a word. It does have a stigmatism that goes along with it if you so choose. But yeah, it was not something you wake up and realize that at 39 you're gonna have to be dealing with this.
Yeah, yeah. So, so at 39, you were in, how long had you been owned the business then at that point?
Um, it was only about 10 years, and I was still, I call it a 1.5 truck operation. I did have some family members, two family members, my cousin, two cousins working for me at the time, just temporarily. And so, but there's no sick time in Chimneytek, and you need the income to provide for your family. Even though I was bivocational, I still relied on that money. So it's like, okay, what do we do now? And
Right.
that was the beginning of realizing that I don't want a business, or I don't want a job. I want a business. I want a business that runs without me. That was the very beginning. And we had that a little bit at that time. So we were able to continue while I went through my treatments for 3 or 4 months with my cousins helping us.
That is really great. Yeah, and I think that's one of the first things you taught me was to say you don't want to be working, you actually want a business. You don't want a job, you want a business. And it's something that last year when my appendix went, I was awfully glad that I had gotten to a point where that was the case. So they ran it without me, right? So, but there's more as far as adversity goes. You've had, we talk about this where we are right now, but this isn't the first time, right?
Right.
So what are the other times that you've
Well, everyone has adversity, and my situation is different, but probably the same. But it actually started, when I was younger. Yeah, one of the things that happened when I was 11, we had moved into a house, a rancher, and due to poor construction, the basement wall caved in. And at 11 years old, that's pretty devastating to have that happen.
Yeah.
And me and my father were out there along with a family friend who's a mason, hauling wheelbarrows at 11 years old up a ramp onto a dump truck. So overcoming that, my father always instilled perseverance. And, throughout my life, it's keep moving forward. Back in 2000, everyone that's married know that there's ups and downs, but I had one foot out the door in 2000, and me and my wife, with the help of God, were able to overcome that. And then, of course, right after that was 9/11, and we navigated through that. Uh, the financial crash of 2008, we're able to overcome that. And then cancer. It's just one thing after another, and it's just, as an entrepreneur, that's what you do, is just, even on a daily basis, the daily grind. We overcome obstacles.
Right. It's funny. I'm trying to remember the quote that you've survived all the hard things thus far. If you can
Yeah,
always remember that you've so far you've survived them all. You're gonna survive this. And I think that's something that if people can remember, it's going to make it a lot easier. And what I'm seeing actually, Vince, is when I watch companies like you who are like, okay, what do we do next? As opposed to companies who are going, well, this isn't happening and that's not happening. But if you're focusing forward, I think it's a lot easier.
it is. And, entrepreneurs like you and I, and most of them, are driven. But, in the back of my mind, especially when I was going through cancer, my kids were young. They were watching me. They were watching how I handled it. This adversity right now with COVID-19, my team is watching how we navigate this, and we're taking it one step at a time. And the situation is fluid and it's changing day by day, but people are watching and they want to see how you're reacting. Is it perfect? No, but you strive to be, a positive light in sometimes a dark place.
Right. That is really great. And now I'm going to have to write that down. But I want to put something up because Talbot said, "I'm stealing. You don't want a job. You want a business." So I love that Talbot's watching. Kurt's on here as well, commenting. If you're watching, you can leave a comment. We may pull you up on the screen. We may you can talk about your business if you want to. Tell us what you do and how you're surviving this. Tell us your hard things. So these comments, people can see them. It's really nice for other people to see, again, that they're not alone. Right.
Right.
So,
Right. The hard things, you deal with it, but you need to surround yourself with good people, like-minded people. Talbot Watkins from CEO Pro made a comment. I've partnered with CEO Pro for over a year. Talbot has helped me in my business tremendously. So he's taking me to the next level. He's helping me take me to the next level. But one of the things that I struggle with is discipline and consistency. You set all these policies in place, and you got to have follow through. And so he's helping with that. But that certainly is one of the things that I do struggle with in my business.
That's one. Yeah. Well, it's one thing that I'm noticing, that being self-aware is so important as an entrepreneur, right? Because it's easy to get yourself in this Debbie Downer. I keep saying it. You can get yourself in this Debbie Downer attitude, but if you're really watching it, you can keep. You need to pull yourself out of it. So being self-aware is a huge part of being an entrepreneur.
It is. And also, as I return to, again, having people around you, and this wasn't employed, but this is my best friend, my wife. The first 2 weeks of this COVID, I was on quarantine because I was out of the country. And she kind of gave me the figurative slap in the face and said, "You need to wake up. You need to get off the couch." And at that point, I was like, you know what? I set a daily schedule for myself. Talbot says live by design or default. So now I'm living by design. I got, my top 5 every day of things I work on in the business. And that helps me. Do I get all 5 things done every day? Not all the time. And I just roll into the next day. But you got to be self-aware and, even be transparent. I woke up this morning and I was tired. I was emotionally tired. And, but, with prayer and meditation, and I was able to snap out of it. And so I was a little nervous about being on here, but so.
Well, I'm going to skip ahead and say something because you just brought it up, prayer and faith, right? We're going to talk about giving back in a little bit, but I want to talk about your faith, because if I describe you to people, there are a few things I say, and I talk about how you're a mentor to me, and I talk about how you're always giving back, and I talk about how much you care about your crew, and I talk about your faith. So
Right.
I couldn't mention you without your faith.
Well, it plays the most important part in my life. And it goes back to 2000 when I talked about my marriage struggles. Um, I wasn't walking with God back then. And in January of 2000, a friend of mine was on the phone, and, I was telling her about what was going on. And I said, I've tried everything. I've tried, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and nothing was satisfying me. And she said, have you ever trusted your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ as your personal Savior? And I said no. And we prayed right there on the phone. And ever since that day, I can't give you the exact date, but I know it was January 2000. I haven't turned back. Now, of course, are things perfect? No, but that's my faith. My faith in God and the scriptures where I always return to. Do I mess up every day? Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm a work in progress, but that's the cornerstone of what I do, or what drives me, other than my why. But talking about my culture and my employees, caring about my employees, my faith has a tremendous impact on them. And they'll tell you I'm not perfect and I do mess up. But at the end of the day, I don't care too much about how much money we make. I care about how they're doing and what's going on in their life. And that's the most important thing as far as the business. One thing I will say was when I got laid off from my full-time job and Dane and I made that decision to go full-time, that morning I was on my hands and knees and not gonna tell you, I dedicated the rest of my time at the helm of Chimneytek to do things right and do things by the book, doing business by the book, and to use Chimneytek to help other people, and that is what our why is.
Yeah, well, and we see that because I run Burgers and Bands. You came to me and said, "How do I help?"
Right.
But I'm not the only one. You help a lot of people. So do you want to talk a little bit about the things that matter a lot to you?
Well, that my why gets me up out of bed every day. That's why I show up to Chimneytek. So I'll start there. We don't have a vision statement, but we have a why. What is our passion? Our passion is to help other people, whether it's helping our customers reduce potential hazards in their home or helping our employees get new things, a car or just quality of life, or helping ministries and nonprofits in the community, supporting them. And yes, I was excited when you and I first met and you told me about Burgers and Bands, because suicide prevention is very near and dear to our heart. It has affected our own company on a personal level. 2.5 years ago in January, in the same week, and you talk about adversity, we lost our administrative office person. My top salesman quit, and one of my employees' wife took their own life. So that is adversity. I don't even pretend to know what that employee, but suicide prevention is very near and dear to our heart. We also partner with a Youth for Christ. It's a Christ-centered program to reach the youth in high school age, young women and young men. One of my dear friends, Chris Martin, he is the area youth director for Youth for Christ in the Fort Meade area, specializing in reaching the children of military. Also, the Bowie Pregnancy Center is on our list. I have a tremendous heart for the unborn, and in the past we have partnered with Be More Caring, who helps feed and clothe the homeless in the Baltimore area, and also Drink at the Well, which is in Brooklyn, I believe, and they help women that are in crisis. So that is what we use Chimneytek to do, is to help other people. So, and that
And
keeps me going.
that comes across in everything you do. I mean, I see it in everything that you do. I see it, and not just, Anastasia must be commenting, because Vince is because it's ASMM commenting and I'm not doing it. So Vince is a great supporter of Burgers and Beds for Suicide Prevention and many other organizations. So she's on here commenting. I'm going to ask now, we're going to go back and talk a little bit about lessons learned, but I want to ask people who are watching, if you're watching this, what are the lessons you've learned? And Anastasia, you can answer this too, because you've got, this, Vince, I got so lucky in Anastasia because she is really an entrepreneur in her own right. This is her whole mindset is an entrepreneurial mindset. So I got very lucky. But what are the lessons that you've learned that, through over time in Chimneytek?
I've touched on some of them. One, and I'm not there yet, is you need to have discipline and consistency in your business, in your policies and your procedures. But the other thing goes back to, do you want to have a job or do you want to have a business? When adversity hits, Talbot Watkins calls it, what happens if you get hit by a bus and you're the one that knows everything?
Right.
So you have to have standard operating procedures in your business in order to do that. And that, I think, is the biggest. I learned the lesson a long time ago, but I'm still in work in progress getting there. But you've got to have policies and procedures in place in order to have that business. And the other thing is perseverance. You've got to keep moving forward. You may take 2 steps back, but you got to take 1 step forward.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And that's right now. That's really important, right? Because we could just say, oh, I give up. But the truth is, if we give up, where are we going to go to work? Honestly,
Right.
in this economy, where are we going to go to work? So we might as well keep going. A lesson I learned, and it just kind of popped into my head while you were talking, and because I'm really early on this journey, but pay attention to the people around you, because oftentimes they know more than you. So we brought in last year, I guess just over a year ago, we brought in Jordan Blackburn, and Anastasia and I had a way of doing things. This is how we post. This is how we create. This is what we do. And Jordan came in and said, that's like 10 steps to do 3 things. And we were like, no, you just don't understand. And then she's like, but wait, what if you did? And we did. And it completely changed the way we did business. And it allowed us to do more business. So pay attention to the people around you, whether it's an employee who comes in, or whether it's somebody you meet on the street, or whether it's another entrepreneur or somebody in your BNI group. Pay attention. I think that's a really important lesson. So, yeah.
It is. I'm a sponge, and I'll take and learn from all different peoples, and I'll pick and choose what is going to fit in our business. But also the team that I have around me, they'll often say, well, what if we do it this way? Maybe we should try it this way. And it's like, okay, put your pride aside and let's try it, so.
Right. Yeah. And that is a hard thing too. But I think especially, what somebody said to me, they mentioned something about, if that's the way you've always done it, right? If you say that, for me, that's a trigger. If I say, oh, that's the way we've always done it, then I need to stop and figure out how else could we do it, right?
They say, if you do what you always did, you're going to get what you always got.
There you go. Exactly. There you go. Anastasia, let's see. One thing that I love is that we don't take too long to do things. Don't overthink and be afraid to make mistakes. That's huge for me in particular.
Yeah.
So I think I called you when I said, hey, I have a new superpower, but I've had it the whole time.
Right.
Which was to make a decision very quickly, because I always thought it was a flaw in my character.
Yeah, sometimes I'm a little slow to pull the proverbial trigger, but
yeah,
I will do it eventually.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, all right. Well, tell us more about how people can get in touch with you.
Sure. There's a number of ways. Of course, our website, chimneytek.com, or reach out via phone, The phone number is 410-796-8450. We try and answer the phone live unless we got 3 calls at once, which sometimes does happen.
Right.
But we are lucky that the construction trades, we are considered essential. We are only doing certain tasks right now, but as things open up, we're doing more sweep and inspections. Actually, we just part of our give back is we want to help some of the other businesses in the area as well. So if we get a referral from one of our customers, or even a new customer for that matter, where they refer somebody to us and it results in a chimney sweep and an inspection, we'll give them a $25 gift card to a local business. The 2 businesses that we chose are Satino's Italian Deli in Catonsville. It's on Edmondson Avenue. We've been going there since 1975. I know the whole family. And the other is Mission Barbecue, which is a local company in Glen Burnie, although they're regional now, but they started, I think their first location was Glen Burnie. So that's our way to help support some of the other businesses in the community, and that's our why again. So
I love that you do that, and I had no idea that you've known Sal that long. So you've known his dad since before he was born.
Right. Well, I remember when Sal was working in the deli, I used to go to Satino's with my father, and Sal's dad was, working for his father. So we've been going to that market since 1975.
I had no idea. That's a nice little nugget to know. So
yeah.
Do me a favor, and because we have a few more minutes, I do want to ask a question. How do people know when they should call you? So they should have an inspection like once a year, right?
Well, the national standard is all chimneys need to be inspected annually. They may not need to be cleaned, but at a minimum, they need inspected. Well, why do they need inspected? Well, birds or squirrels or animals could nest in there. There could be water leaking in there, especially if you have a furnace or a water heater that is gas or oil. That has a chimney as well. It may not be a traditional brick chimney. It may be just a pipe out of the roof. Actually, we're replacing one now. But some of the other things is in the summertime, you'll get a smoky smell in the house. That usually happens when it's humid or it rains, and you'll get that downdraft. The chimney probably needs to be cleaned. If you see water on your ceiling, where the chimney meets the sheetrock, that's a leaky chimney problem as well. And sometimes people call roofers, but it may not be the roof. It may be the actual chimney that's leaking. And we do specialize in leaky chimneys. But sometimes you see white on the brick, white effervescence. That is an indication of water intrusion. So those are some of the things.
White on the inside or the outside?
Both.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So, you'll see these white stains. It almost looks like white salt. It's an effervescence from the moisture that is leaking through. Just now you got me talking about chimneys. I might not stop. But
right. Well, but I think people don't know. It's one of those things you don't think about very much. You don't think about your chimney very much, especially you're like, okay, well, yeah, my roof needs help and my electric needs help and my plumbing needs help. But the chimney is one of those things that it's a second thought, and it's so important.
One of the things that people don't realize, your roof needs to be swapped out every 20 years. Your heating and cooling system needs to be swapped out every 20 years. Chimneys don't last more than 20 years without a major overhaul. It may not need a complete rebuild, but they don't last They don't last forever. And a lot of people, are 20, 30, 40, 50 years and never
80.
had anything done.
I think my house is 80.
Right.
So, so we'll have to talk about that. All right. So speaking of things we have to talk about, Monday I have Tara Frame of Frame and Frame coming on. She's going to talk about estate planning and why you need to think about it, and how all those things that we don't think. Like, so many people think, oh, I'm too young, I don't need it, or I don't have enough money, I don't need it. But there's so much more than just a will. There's so much more to estate planning than just that. So tune in Monday for that. Vince, it was awesome to have you on. It's nice. It's always nice to have a friend on.
Well, I appreciate it. I had a wonderful time too, and I was nervous, but I think I enjoyed it, and I'm glad we could get our message out there.
Yeah, I'm glad you came on. So thank you so much. Stay around. I'll be right back. All right, guys. So Monday we've got Tara. Next week we're moving to 2 days a week with this because I am working. I'm working too hard, quite honestly. I'm working too hard on this and doing a few other things. So I'm going to start doing it 2 days a week from now on. But we have good news. We have really exciting news. We've taken the audio from all of these and we've put them in podcasts. So you should start seeing those come up on iTunes very shortly. I'm waiting for news on that. But it's going to be, we've got a lot of exciting things happen. We also, if you go to our website, you can see every single one of these videos. So ASMMdigital.com. Vince, thanks again for coming in.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Bye-bye.